Hey Marlins fans, David Fernandez here. This is Marlins Talk for Loaded Bases on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We're going to talk a little bit today about the road trip. We'll take a look at some of the numbers that came out of the road trip. We'll preview the battle with the Braves. We'll talk a little bit about the roster and the injured list, and then we'll take it all home. Okay, so the Marlins are coming off an epic odyssey of a road trip, right? It was originally supposed to be a 6-day trip, but it turned into a 23-day odyssey. They finished with an 8-4 record. There was a 5-game winning streak mixed in there. Their .667 winning percentage is tied for second in the National League, and they're sitting at the top of the NL East. In 12 games, the Marlins have already used 45 players, including 26 pitchers. Just for a little bit of context, in all of 2019, the Marlins used 50 different players, including 25 pitchers. We've seen 9 players make their MLB debut for the Marlins, and the Marlins also used 9 starting pitchers in their first 9 games, which set a new mark for the MLB. So mixed in there, some of the crazy numbers. Obviously, we have the 8-day quarantine. We have 19 players on the injured list. Could be 20 soon if Mike Morin gets added. They gave up a franchise record 7 home runs the other night to Toronto. They have a 4-1 record in one-run games. This is a big difference from what we saw in 2019, where they were 16-28. Some of the big-time performers here early on have been Jesus Aguilar and Brian Anderson. Aguilar leads the team with a .311 batting average, and BA leads the team in OPS. Both Aguilar and Anderson have 4 home runs this year. BA leads the team with 13 RBI, and Aguilar is right behind him with 12. Now, it hasn't been great for everybody. Unfortunately, Lewis Brinson is 0 for 12 since his call-up. He does have 3 walks and only 3 strikeouts, but he's really yet to produce at the plate. The same is actually true for Monte Harrison, who's 2 for 18 since his debut, including 11 strikeouts. In his last 6 at-bats, Monte has struck out. Now, it's not just limited to these two. We saw a tough road trip for Jonathan Villar and Corey Dickerson as well. Now, Villar kind of broke out of his slump, going 2 for 4 with against Toronto the other night with an RBI and a walk. But prior to that, he was 2 for his last 19, including 11 strikeouts. Corey Dickerson has kind of struggled throughout the year. He's only 5 for 31 so far this season. He does have 4 walks, and he's been able to extend counts at the plate, which has helped other hitters, right? But Corey Dickerson is going to need to produce at a consistent level coming here soon. And obviously, we've seen the difference for the Marlins when you're talking about seeing Jonathan Villar get on the bases. So let's talk a little bit now about the upcoming battle with the Braves. This is an unlikely battle for first place in the NL East. So the Braves are coming in having lost 3 in a row. They've given up 28 runs in those 3 losses, and they're 11-9 overall. The Marlins have a 1-game lead on the Braves at the moment, and the Braves are already without their best starting pitcher, Mike Soroka, who tore his Achilles. And then for this series, they'll be without Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies. Both are out with sore wrists. For the Braves, Freddie Freeman obviously has been doing well. He's hitting .254 this season with 3 home runs and 12 RBI. Dansby Swanson, their shortstop, he leads the team with a .276 batting average, and he leads the team with 14 RBI. And former Marlin Marcell Ozuna has been huge for them as well. He's hitting .257 and a team-leading 4 home runs. On Friday, the Marlins are going to be facing Kyle Wright, the right-hander. He's 0-2 this year with a .675 ERA. And the Marlins are going to counter with Pablo Lopez, who's 1-1 with a 1.80 ERA. Now, for his career, Lopez is 0-3 versus the Braves in 5 starts, but he has a 3.54 ERA. So that tells you he's pitched well against the Braves, but he's had some bad luck along the way. The Marlins are really going to have to take Friday because on Saturday they'll have their hands full with Atlanta's de facto ace at this point, Max Fried. Fried is 3-0 with a 1.59 ERA and 21 strikeouts. The Braves' probable starter for Sunday is Touki Toussaint, who's 0-1 with a 7.27 ERA and 23 strikeouts. The two teams, their offenses are relatively similar, and the Braves are obviously without some major offensive weapons. As a team, the Braves are hitting 244, and the Marlins are hitting 235. OPS for the Braves is 735, and OPS for the Marlins is 713. So similar offenses. I mean, the Braves are a little bit ahead, but again, they're going to be without some major pieces in their lineup. And then team ERA, the Marlins have been better from a pitching perspective thus far than the Braves. Atlanta's team ERA is 4.45 at this point, and Miami's is 4.22. So we're looking at an important matchup here with the Braves to take real control of the NL East, right? If the Marlins are able to take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta here, they'll be in the driver's seat for the foreseeable future because they'll extend their lead and they'll continue to get closer and closer to securing one of those playoff spots. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the roster. Now, the Marlins completed a trade recently with the Colorado Rockies. They acquired right-handed pitcher Jesus Tinoco, and they sent right-handed pitcher Chad Smith to the Rockies. So Tinoco's 25 years old, but he has made it to the major league level, made it to the major leagues last season, but he's had some control issues along the way. With the Rockies last year, he walked 5.5 batters per 9 innings, which is obviously a number that's way too high. In 36 innings pitched with the Rockies last year, he had a 4.75 ERA. Tinoco has a fastball, a curveball, and a slider, but his big issue thus far in his career has been command. For the Marlins, they're giving up Chad Smith. Smith is a 25-year-old pitching prospect. The Marlins drafted him in the 11th round in 2016, but he hasn't progressed beyond Double-A. Tinoco was added to the 60-man player pool, and he's obviously an arm that the Marlins may end up using at some point here because of the turnover in the bullpen, right? We might see Mike Morin move over to the IL. We saw him get hurt against Toronto. And obviously with the taxi squad, there's a little bit of shuffling of arms there. And Tinoco is another arm with some major league experience. It's sort of a low risk, high reward thing here for the Marlins. If he comes in and he can throw strikes, he could potentially help this bullpen. Now, the Marlins have received some encouraging news from the pitching standpoint. Craig Mish of Swings and Mishes recently reported that Sandy is getting ready to take a physical at this point, and he needs clearance from the MLB. And once he gets that clearance, he'll be able to report to Jupiter. Once he gets to Jupiter, we don't know how long it'll take for him to get back into baseball shape, to build up his arm, things of that nature. But obviously, this is a step in the right direction. The other night, Don Mattingly said to the media that several players had applied for reinstatement, several of the Marlins who had been lost to the injured list due to COVID. Many of them have applied for reinstatement. We know that for the most part, they had experienced either no symptoms or were mild symptoms, and many of them are sort of itching to get back on the field already. Mattingly had no sort of timeline for this progression and how quickly they'll be able to return to action. But obviously, when we're talking about Sandy Alcantara, the team's ace, getting ready to take a physical, and get that clearance from MLB, we're moving in the right direction. We don't know if it's going to be another week or potentially another 10 days, 2 weeks, who knows really at this point, but things are moving. And picking up Alcantara again, this could be like injecting a high-level arm at the trade deadline. As the Marlins start to sort of pick up these players and they return to action, especially when you're looking at somebody like Jorge Alfaro, who we haven't seen all season yet, this is really an opportunity for the team to really sort of come together and coalesce and make that run for the postseason. So what we're talking about at this point, we have the home opener coming up for the Marlins. This is an exciting moment in time because the Marlins they're competing and they have control of the NL East, and they have an opportunity to extend that lead in the NL East. They're playing relevant baseball midway through August for the first time in a long time. The Marlins have some special things planned for their openers, okay? There's going to be a virtual first pitch tonight. Actually, the Marlins are going to stream their batting practice live on marlins.com. And then this coming Sunday, part of a celebration of South Florida Black History, the Marlins are going to wear the uniform of a semi-pro team from the 1930s called the Miami Giants. They released this information on their Twitter page, and they have a promotional video there that you should definitely check out. The uniforms are clean, they're sharp, and again, this is a nod to South Florida Black history with this semi-pro team that has a great deal of history in baseball, especially when we're talking about the Negro Leagues and the history of baseball here in South Florida. So for the Miami Marlins, this is a moment where they are playing relevant baseball deep into August, and they have the opportunity to do something great. Yes, they are still missing an incredible amount of players on the injured list, but this team is coming together. They're playing hard. They're playing with heart. And if they continue to find success at the plate and they can get those key outs from the pitcher's mound, we're going to see a further run of relevant baseball here for South Florida. Make sure that you check out our Loaded Bases podcast hosted by Christian Pupo and Zeke Milian. You can see their work or hear their work there. These guys are great talking about Marlins and the MLB. Also, you're going to want to check out 5reasonsports.com for all of our Marlins content there, and really all of the content that you need for South Florida sports. Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes, all of it's there at 5reasonsports.com. Thanks for joining me.